Hi, I'm Meg.
And I'm David.
Welcome to The Average Vegans, a podcast to help you live an attainable vegan lifestyle. We're not the ripped influencer vegans you hear about in other podcasts. We're just some ordinary people living in the South, eating plants and loving animals.
And on this episode, we're talking about documentaries and movies in the vegan world and why we like them and the ones that we recommend.
There's a lot to choose from.
There's a
So I
lot.
went to kind of like refresh my memory of all the options and I was a little overwhelmed. And I realized I haven't seen as many as I should have. So I'm going to definitely dive into more. But these are kind of our top favorite movies, documentaries, whatever. And they're probably ones you've heard of too, some of them, but there's also some that, some of you may not have heard of. There's some that David didn't know and I didn't know that the other one likes. So hopefully we can open your eyes to something new today.
Yeah, a lot of these are great if you're just starting out. They're good because they give you some information you may not have known before. Again, I always advocate for do your research, have your information because you're going to get questions.
Right.
And some of them are great if you're trying to get others to understand. This is especially like great like if you have like friends and family who don't quite get like where you're coming from or what the issues are or what you're if you're doing this for your health, the environment, for the animals, for whatever. A lot of these sitting somebody down for a couple hours and like let's watch this together, have some vegan popcorn and have a good time. Some of these are a good time, some of these are not a good time, but they have very useful information.
Yes.
Um,
And I also think these movies can also help you if, you know, you're struggling to keep the momentum going. So say you're, in the beginning stages of being vegan and, maybe you're stumbling a little bit or losing your conviction a little. Watching some of these movies will bring you right back to the reality of why you're doing this, whether it's for animals, which it should be primarily, or if it's for your health. There's a few that we cover that are about that. Whether, it's for the environment, there's a lot of reasons, and all of these movies will help you kind of remember your why, as I like to say, so that you can keep following a vegan lifestyle. Which one are we going to start with?
I say we start. Was it start from the beginning and when you get to the end, stop.
Okay, David.
That's
Yes.
a
These are not in chronological order. They're
Alice in
just in
Wonderland
what we
reference.
thought of first. We're so all about that research. All right, so we'll start with Cowspiracy, which was released in 2014. This is one that I've made my husband watch because I think it's really powerful to see the environmental effects of animal agriculture, and to see how different organizations are just completely ignoring that animal agriculture contributes to the detriment of the universe and the planet. um, it was something that I think really opened his eyes because he gets mad when he's like being lied to when he realizes it. So I was like, this will help.
that's and that's what's great about a lot of these is it's just like you kind of start opening your eyes like I was told a ration of shit for years. And
Yes,
this is and
yes.
yeah, you're right. This is great people who if you yourself are trying to understand how it impacts the environment, or you have like maybe you have a friend or a family member who doesn't quite understand how animal agriculture affects the environment. And it even goes into how it affects you physically too a little bit as well.
Mhm.
But I think instead of doesn't some of these documentaries and these movies go into like how it affects your cholesterol and this and that and that thing, but this actually dives into how the animal agriculture industry uses their leverage to kind of
Yes.
sell you a was it a bunch of like false goods. I don't know, it's not the words, but you get the point.
Yes.
But a bunch of false goods. Let's put it that way. And makes you kind of like uses marketing to make you believe one thing that's not true. I think one thing they get into is how like they use the pink ribbon on
Yes.
like buckets of fried chicken. So
Mm-hmm.
they're using agriculture uses health as a way to sell, which it all loops back into their own pockets, which then
Exactly.
contributes to the detriment of your health, the animals, and the environment.
And in Cowspiracy, there's like one guy who goes to different environmental organizations, and a lot of the interviews, those people think they're being interviewed by someone who's like totally thinks they're the greatest thing on the planet, and he starts to ask them about the effects of animal agriculture on the planet, and you get to see their like true honest like deer in headlight looks where they're like what.
He's
And a
got
lot
us.
of them, like, it looks like they've never thought of it before until you ask them at that one moment. Or
Yeah,
they've never at least been asked about it. But it's a fascinating thing to see someone just go, oh, crap.
yeah. Well, I love. I think it was the National Heart Association. He's in there. The guy's interviewing them,
Yes.
and he starts asking them. It's like, well, on your website, like pork products are, have this much cholesterol in them. They're a leading cause of heart disease. That's the leading cause of heart disease. Is saturated fats and cholesterol. So why is that listed as a heart healthy option? And the guy's just like, I know this interview was about, but I think we need to end this. It's like,
I
yeah,
think.
and then he dives in and shows why it's there, because the pork industry donates to the National Heart Institute, and then because of that they get them to skew their numbers and their rules to get that sort of stuff in there.
It's shocking.
Yeah,
It's really shocking.
I have family members who have had triple bypasses and have stents, and they people who cooked for them. I'm trying to keep everyone's name out of thing who they are. But who cook for them have done that. They're like, oh, this is the National Heart Association book. I'm like, that's literally the
Ugh.
highest amount of saturated fat. Like chicken is high in saturated fat. Like compared to other meats, it's very high in saturated fat. And it's I'm like, you're
Yeah,
literally
and
feeding
it's
the
like,
person.
and you almost can't like argue with them.
Yeah,
I mean, you can, but you're almost just like, they literally think, well, how can I not trust
the
the
national
American Heart
right.
Association with heart healthy information? How can I not trust them? Like,
And
why would I not? Why would I ever question that?
it's
And
got
it's
the
like, well,
sticker on it. I'm like,
you
yeah, well, if
right.
you got 10 grand, then yeah, I can get you a sticker too. Like you just pay for the sticker, and you have to have like fat to calorie ratio to be like a certain level, and that's it. You get the sticker. Like it doesn't mean anything.
Wow,
I don't. I just kind of go,
ridiculous.
okay, you're dealing with someone who has had triple bypasses and like 4 stents in their heart. You've had one in yours, but like their cholesterol is really good. Like that's cool because don't they have an appointment next week to have their stent replaced?
Oh
So apparently it's
God,
working. The,
working
I
well.
think, or I get like the cholesterol's looking really well. Yeah, it's because you're on like 4 medications. If you would eat
What
healthier and not eat animal products, you wouldn't be on that medication at all. Wouldn't that be
exactly?
cheaper?
There you go. That kind of leads into the next one too,
Yeah.
as so Cowspiracy is really about environmental effects, a little bit about health effects of eating animal products and of animal agriculture. But here's the next one. This was released in 2017. It's called What the Health. And I remember being excited about this because I was vegan at this point. I'm like, yes, a new video. And this, I wish I had verified this before, but Brittany will probably tell me. My sister, I'm pretty sure, watched this, and that's why she went vegetarian and sometimes vegan.
Yeah.
And she has been for the last 3 years. So I think that's what brought her to it. So What the Health is a really focusing obviously about the health benefits of a plant-based diet. Duh, you hear it in the name. Talks a lot about how harmful meat and dairy are, and really goes into the why it's bad for your health, like the scientific reasons and the carcinogens, and you might as well be smoking. It's like, it's shocking for anyone who thinks eating animal products is like totally okay.
Yeah.
You watch them watch this and they're like, what?
Because I know someone who, because a lot of people like go like the other white meat. They like mainly go to like fish, chicken, and pork, stuff like that when they want to like get healthy in quotes. And I know someone who like they only ate poultry. They don't like mainly chicken and turkey. That's all they ate. As far as animals is considered, of course they did dairy as well, but then as far as meat is considered, and when they watched this with me, and they dropped poultry completely out of their diet. They were like,
Wow.
okay, wait, so like it's just as bad? I'm like, yeah, it's just as bad. You've been marketed to, and this that goes to a lot of these videos go into marketing because it's all this is marketing. It's so much marketing because there's so much money in it. But it's yeah, you've been marketed to it, but like it's healthy. It's really not. It's almost like smoke. Like there's an analogy I had in health class. The teacher, health teacher, gave in health class in high school was if smoking is jumping off like a 20-story window, smoking light cigarettes is like jumping out of like the 15th story. It's like
Oh my
you're not really doing much. You just think you are. And that's the same. People are like, I eat chicken because it's healthier for your heart. And I'm like, yeah, but healthier and healthy are not the same thing.
God. That is a ooh, I gotta write that down.
You know, it's not quite the same. So it's just because something's healthier doesn't mean it's actually healthy for you. It's you stop doing one hard drug to go a lighter drug. You're still doing drugs. You might want to evaluate. I'm not coming out of addiction. Addiction is a mental health issue. It's just you're like, oh, it's, I smoke less crack now. Like I went from meth to crack. Okay, I'm glad you quit smoking meth. Good job. But now you're smoking crack. Like it's still a problem.
Oh no.
You're still eating holes in your brain. You can take it down a notch. But yeah, and that's what people switching to those type of diets, don't quite get. And this digs into that, like to show like the hypocrisy and the differences in that and how there really isn't, which is nice.
And again, they talk about, national health organizations that don't speak about how bad eating meat and dairy are for your health. And again, it's like it's shocking to see organizations that should be like all about being vegan not at all mention it anywhere at all. And it's heartbreaking, but it's also just like, what?
Well,
most people don't even realize that information is not shared by people it should be shared by.
Money talks, and then the Cowspiracy. I think What the Health also got into this, where how, when you have organizations where their entire, to your point, their entire meaning, their entire point of being, my brain today, the entire point of being is to ensure like giving them the healthiest options and the healthiest data. And you look who's on the board and who funds the studies and things like that. You realize like, okay, so 75% of people on this board either work for or worked for the pork, the beef, and the poultry industry, or the dairy industry, the egg industry, and so these companies are funding these studies, or they're donating money to these organizations. And when you donate millions of dollars, you kind of get your foot in the door to go. I say you're getting rid of the food pyramid, and you're making this plate example, which is great: fruits, veggies, grains, awesome. Instead of, because this actually happened, it was like the little glass, and we don't use the food pyramid, we use the plate that's divided. There was one that had water, and the dairy industry came in and said, no, need dairy in there. So that's why that little cup is like fruit, veggie, protein,
has the milk,
grain, and milk. Yeah, or dairy. Yeah, that's why dairy's in there still, because they got in there and did it. Yeah, it might be. So gross. I think fork over. What the health might get? What the health is newer? I might have gone into that because I think that was around the time we made that change. I think they actually do go into how that changed and how like the food pyramid changed over the years and how the influences were part of it that made it where
that's so interesting.
Where like meat and dairy was supposed to be like way up on the the pyramid, but it got moved around and people put all this money and donated to get theirs lower in the pyramid, so it was more of a foundation. That's so crazy. That's an episode right there I want to do. That's right there talking about how they messed the pyramid. That'd be awesome because it's so crazy how much the pyramid and like the food pyramid stuff is marketing. And these documentaries, especially What the Health, if I remember correctly, because it's been a few years since I've seen it, but What the Health, right. I think they dig into like how health industry is geared towards essentially marketing. I'm not talking about doctors, but like the propaganda of like, here's the food pyramid, here's how many servings of this you need. Like, do you really? So.
Oh gosh! And since we kind of mentioned it, let's go to forks over knives because it's kind of similar in that it talks about, how food is medicine. So this one was produced in or pushed out in whatever, 2011, I think. Yeah. So it's been quite a while, but it does focus a whole bunch on like reversing disease using a whole food plant-based diet, and how, people that have been on a lot of medication come off of it, and they have a lot of examples of it. So this is a very powerful health related documentary.
Yeah, and Forks Over Knives focuses. I think that's primarily like hosted by essentially by T. Colin Campbell and what was his name? And Doctor was it Doctor Campbell and I can't remember his name. I gotta look it up now because it's gonna drive me nuts. It was why the heck can I find their name? Yeah. Oh yeah, it was T. Colin Campbell and Doctor Esselstyn. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, so that's why his name is so hard to remember. And Dr. Esselstyn, his son was a firefighter who's featured in Forks Over Knives, and he's the one that came out. You remember the Ancient 2 diet, which is still around.
Mm-hmm.
The Ancient 2 diet, it's all whole food, plant based, no oil, that sort of stuff. That came from Dr. Esselstyn's son, who's a 50-something-year-old firefighter who's just friggin' jacked. And that's a whole other story. That's actually a really interesting story. But it follows those two guys. What's interesting about both of them is Dr. Campbell. I'm trying to get him backwards, but Dr. Campbell is a cardiologist. I believe so. Yeah, and Dr. Esselstyn is maybe he studies cancer. Yeah, it was cancer because he did in the documentary. I'm like reaching way back because it's been years, man. But and both of them grew up on dairy farms. They grew up like, on dairy farms, and dairy was the healthiest thing. So they actually did all their studies and work separate from each other. They didn't meet till they're like way older, like in their like 60s. They didn't meet or something like that. But Doctor Campbell, who was a cardiologist, he would prescribe plant-based diets to his heart patients, and he noticed that had a dramatic effect on blockages, and they actually could reverse blockages in the heart strictly through a diet change.
Right.
Where Dr. Exelson, and again, I'm probably getting these two guys mixed up as far as their profession, but I'm gonna stick with it. Keep on the ball here. He did a study with these children. I think they were children where they were having a liver cancer or something like that. And he got mainly eating rice, and this is where the China study comes from. The China study is a big part of this. Right. Eating rice, and it actually saw a reduction in these cancers, like liver cancers and other cancers. And they basically took them off animal products and put them on plant-based diets. And then when they stopped it and they went back, their amount of cancer skyrocketed. And they found out, so they started doing studies on, and did it on mice because that's how science unfortunately works. We don't have to like it, but that's the world we live in. And they found that they could use a plant-based diet to turn cancer on and off. Like they would take mice and go, here's I think they had casein, which is comes from dairy, and they literally turned these cancer cells on in mice, and they go boop, take it out, and they would turn them off. So one doctor was doing a study on cancer when a plant-based diet. Another doctor doing studies on heart disease and all these massive deaths that are caused through heart disease and carotid artery disease and testicular cancers and breast cancer, all this stuff. And they came to the same conclusion when it comes to the quality of a plant-based diet on your overall health. And Forks Over Knives is kind of an accumulation of all of them becoming. They literally would at a conference. And they just happened to meet and mention like, oh, I'm looking at this, like, holy shit, me too. And then they started, we should get together, and that's where that's kind of where the China study stuff comes from. So, if you really want to dive into the health of it and what the healthy options are, the Forks Over Knives dives much deeper. That they're not so much into like the propaganda and stuff like that, but they're more into the actual like, here is why a plant-based diet is better for your health.
Right. And exactly how it improves it. That's a really good one. I definitely watched that in the beginning of going vegan because any kind of like health related stuff was kind of my first dive into these documentaries. You know, like I think I watched the Cowspiracy one like later because I wasn't focused as much on the environmental effects. So it's kind of like I dove in, and I think Forks Over Knives was the one of the first ones. It's very powerful.
Yeah, I think of
Uh,
all Forks Over Knives is what got me. That made me go like, okay. And
mhm,
then when my dad had his heart surgeries and stuff, I was like,
mhm.
because my whole story is, I'm not going into my story, but my whole thing is like, I'm standing there in the hospital room. Oh, actually, no, it was after my dad had his heart surgery. We were all at my grandparents' house, like hanging out. And no, it wasn't a hospital room. No, it wasn't a hospital room. So I'm standing there in my dad's hospital room, and some family member comes over to me and rubs my belly. And he's like, "You look like your daddy there, boy." I went, oh no, oh, hell no. And that's when I started cutting out a lot of stuff. And then I cut out red meat and pork and fast food. Like I was like, next day, I'm like, nope. Nope. And I was doing if it swims or it flies or has feathers, I'm okay. And then Forks Over Knives made me go, okay, maybe. Some
Yeah,
information here.
yeah. It's definitely a powerful one.
For
If you
sure.
can get someone to sit down for that movie, you're gonna really make a difference.
Oh, absolutely.
The next one is one that David did not watch, and I only watched parts of because it is the most difficult bit of film that's ever been created.
Yeah.
It's called Earthlings, released in 2005. It's narrated by
Is it Walking?
Joaquin Phoenix or Joaquin Phoenix,
Walking
whatever his name is.
Jacqueline.
I don't know why
I'm
I said
gonna make
that.
fun of you from now on about that.
And it has music by Moby. I remember that
Yeah,
clearly. I
that
don't
makes
know
sense.
why. But it is very graphic,
Yes.
and very few people can watch the whole thing. I fast forwarded through so much of it that I don't know if I can technically say that I watched it, but I mean, watch parts of it and fast forward enough where I knew what was happening. There's a lot of very graphic video footage of animal slaughter
Yeah.
and torture and abuse, and it is wow.
Yeah. If
If
you're
you
on
can get through it and eat meat afterwards, I don't want to be your friend anymore.
No,
You're
something-
a psycho.
that is yeah, I don't know how you could like
You
if
might be a serial killer.
if you know someone you're trying to get, oh my god, if you know someone who's you're trying to like understand or come to your side or at least kind of be sympathetic with you, and the environment's not doing it for them, they're like, I don't give a shit, let it, let the world burn. Like, okay, weird, but all right. If their health doesn't care and they don't care, like, I want to die young. I'm like, okay, all right. But they love cute little cows, little piggies, little piglets are adorable. This would definitely go, oh wow, we're monsters. Yeah, we're monsters. We
Yes.
we are what farmed animals have nightmares about. Like we are
Yes.
we are the boogeyman in their closet for sure.
Absolutely.
And I will tell you, like, wow, we are just absolutely terrible. And the thing about it is that, and people see this and go like, well, that's just factory farms. Like, no,
No.
no, there's no humane way to kill. You tell me right now a humane way to kill you. You can't do it.
No.
I'm still killing you
No.
the way. You can't humane. You can kill someone and maybe they feel less pain, but I'm killing you. You're not gonna be alive anymore. You ain't gonna like it.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, we can't go into too much detail with Earthlings because
No.
it's literally just you
I
have
haven't
to
seen
just
it.
watch it.
So
Yeah,
I-
it's intense.
I've
to say
worked I worked for animal rights group, and I worked, obviously I'm a web developer, so I worked in the web team, and I had to post videos and the websites, and I told them, like, I'm not watching this anymore. Someone else can watch these videos and make sure they're correct, because I'm not gonna do it. And
Yeah,
you
and I
can't make me.
remember you had some like job openings, and you were like, well, one of them requires like watching all the videos. I'm like, no, no,
No, hell no.
no, I can't.
we had people who had to do that. They had to like watch them just like, because they had to edit. You have to edit them because we'd have people go into. I work for Mercy for Animals. It doesn't matter. I work for Mercy for Animals, and so we have people who do investigations at these factory farms, both large and small, and we have this film, and people have to edit it, and like they're treated with like kid gloves. So like like if you need time to like you just go like
Right.
you need a break, you let us know, because it gets to you. And I was like. Because like there were times when we had the website where the video auto plays,
Oh,
and you're like, you try to stop it before the sledgehammer lands on top of the cow's head. You're like,
Right,
no,
right.
no, why?
Awful,
Why do we
awful.
autoplay this? And like that's why we autoplay it. But
yes, yes.
sometimes I was like, oh man, I've already gone vegan. Why do I have to watch this again? I I did it. That's why I haven't watched That's why I haven't watched Earthlings, because by the time I
Right.
found out like I really knew what it was, I was like, yeah, I've already made the transition.
I'm not gonna
I'm
torture
good.
myself like
I'm
that.
good. Why? I don't be reminded. I know.
Uh, yeah, I felt like it was like part of my vegan duty, like I like my initiation. Just even to fast forward through it, like I felt like I had to do it, or I wasn't considered
Yeah.
part of the gang.
That,
But
then I'm
obviously,
not
I
part of
was
the gang.
wrong.
I'm not part of the gang then, because I'm not. I don't have to. I know. I've seen it. I think there's a part. I think it's in Cowspiracy. There's a part where a guy like he cuts a dog. He's like cuts a dog's head off, I think.
There's something, yeah. There is like
Yeah.
one or two violent scenes,
And
yeah.
I was like, no. As soon as I saw it happen, I was like, nope, 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 nope. Eyes closed, ears covered, ear muffs. No, 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 no.
Ugh, so sad.
I can't. I just can't do it.
No. Um. All right, so we're gonna move kind of back into a little bit of a health thing. So there is so I watched this on YouTube. I'm not sure where else you would find it, but most of these you can find on Netflix or Amazon Prime Video. But this one's called Vegucated, and it's from 2011. And again, I've only seen it on YouTube, so I don't know where else you would watch it. But so it's three people from New York, and they follow a vegan lifestyle for 6 weeks. And it has a doctor that gives them a full physical beforehand, and then one afterwards. Obviously, they get fully educated on how to eat properly, but they also are taken to like the grocery store where they get to walk through and they point out things that they never knew were there. Like they think, going into the store, what am I going to buy in here? And they just walk them down the aisles and they're like, all of this, you know? But they also show them, junk food, but, easy, convenient food too. So that they're not, it almost helped them feel like, oh, it's not so difficult. There are options if I want to like cheat once in a while and eat some ice cream on a Tuesday night. Um, so it's really cool because what I love about this video is you see their like progressive light bulb moments. Like you can see them go, oh, and like they go to a farm, like a animal sanctuary. They learn about animal agriculture, and it's like you can see them kind of learn as they go through this
Yeah.
process, and it's a really beautiful thing to see. um and in the end, again, it's only 6 weeks, but in the end, it's not like they some of them didn't even drop very much weight. One of the three people only lost like 2 pounds, so it wasn't about like weight loss for them. It was more about like their health and how they felt. And as they were going through the process, it really became about the animals too, so that was a beautiful thing to see. But in the end, they had gigantic drops in like cholesterol and blood pressure in only 6 weeks. Like it was really, really cool to see the immediate difference. I mean, there was like a 30 point difference, like a drop in cholesterol in just like 6 weeks. It was amazing. Um, so it's kind of like a person, like like a personal journey that you get to follow these people on and see them kind of learn what it's like to live that lifestyle and then see like the immediate benefits. I really wish I could find them and see if they still eat this way.
I'm sure
I'd be
most of them
really
do.
mad though if they didn't.
Yeah,
I would be
I'm sure
pissed.
most do. Honestly, you'd be surprised. Everyone has like, yeah, people. I know people go vegan. They don't stay vegan very long. I was like, it's the largest growing movement in the world right now. I'm
Yeah.
like, the only reason people think that way is because a handful of people who have a platform couldn't hang because
Yeah.
they did it as a fad and they did it for 3 weeks. Like, oh, I felt like crap. It's like, dude, you weren't eating any food. You were eating junk food. That's why you feel like crap. Yeah. So
We could do a whole episode on vegan influencers that went back on being vegan and
yeah,
now eat meat, and how much we want to punch them.
posers.
So the next one we're going to talk about is very similar to Vegucated. It's
Yes.
called PlantPure Nation, and this one David's watched, but I haven't.
Yeah, and this one is very similar to Vegucated, except it actually follows a groups of people. Like they go to these little areas and have like groups of people, and they take all their vitals and they put them on the plant-based diet. And and this kind of it feeds off the same information from Forks Over Knives and as well as the China study. T. Campbell, Dr. Exelson are both involved in this one as well.
Oh, love
They're just they're kind of the pioneers in a lot of, like, especially the pushing it out and getting people to understand what's going on. Um, and they do the same thing where they take everyone's vitals before and after. People's cholesterol is like cut in half, and people with diabetes are taking off medication. And I know this one. I think a couple others. People that ask like, "What are your goals?" Like, I don't want to be on medication anymore. I spend hundreds and hundreds and $100s a month on like all these pills for my cholesterol, and then this medication makes my heart race. So I gotta take this medication.
Yeah, I was just gonna say the side effects are insane.
Yeah, and how there's medication to squash the side effects, and this one's for a blood thinner, and then this one's all of this stuff. And by the end of it, almost all the medications are gone because it's all food based. The problems are they're eating terrible, and all these medications are doing is making it where they can continue to eat terrible and live. And it's the idea of do you want to be alive or do you want to live?
Right. Right.
And
love that.
Right. And I don't knock doctors. It's a very difficult profession, and they do amazing work. And I'm not anti-doctor, anti-medical community or anything. Doctors don't get training on diet. They just don't. Like
they don't. Right.
And that's because that's what their focus. Their focus is why do you feel bad, and if you're specialized, why do you feel bad right there? That's pretty much it. So they're not really focused on, okay, well, try a banana. Oh, you have a deficiency in potassium. Here's medication to help stabilize potassium levels, whatever. So this is also why you can't quote exercise a bad diet, because your diet is everything. It's everything. It's you can exercise all you want, but if you're eating nothing but steaks and chicken and no vegetables, you're gonna have a heart attack. You're gonna get clogged arteries. You're gonna have a heart attack. You can exercise all you want. So, and that's what a lot of these point out is, and that's what PlantPure Nation does, is it says we have these health problems in this country because of the way people eat. Of course, and these primarily focus on the United States, but this is also a worldwide issue. We're humans. I mean, there's difference in our genetics, but we kind of all process, for the most part, foods the same way, and how it clogs our arteries and damages endothelial cells. It causes inflammation. That causes blockages. I watched a lot of this stuff.
I love you.
So a lot of these dive into why animal products are bad, what they do bad to you, and then what plant-based foods, how they prevent that damage, reduce inflammation, which actually reverses those diseases and prevents things like cancer and things like that.
And it does a group of people, you said, like a town.
Yes. I was looking at the synopsis before we.
Because I find that really interesting. I might have to watch that, because I loved Vegucated, which followed 3 people. So I think I'd love to watch a group of people do it too.
Yes, yeah.
For some reason, I just like to watch them, like their progression through this process. It's interesting.
Yes, it talks about one doctor tries it in North Carolina, his North Carolina hometown of Mabane. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. It's a small town. I took a documentary crew with him, and it's a small town in North Carolina, so there's,
whoa, okay.
There's a lot of bad stuff going on there. It's just a lot of those areas end up being food deserts, and they only have fast food, and the grocery stores have a lot of prepackaged frozen foods and stuff like that aren't the best for you. So, yeah, they actually go into like these groups of people and say like, look, and that's also a lot of the documentaries we've talked about takes like, look, this guy did this thing and now he's not sick anymore, and they took it and said, here's a group of people, and they all had similar results because they changed how they didn't really change. I mean, most people when they start eating plant-based, it's kind of you tend to be like exercising more and doing things that are healthier just because you kind of start
drinking
feeling better,
more water,
and that just happens. Like if it takes someone who is just completely only drinks Cokes and eats hamburgers and never runs, and I get them on a plant-based diet, they're like, oh, I'm drinking more water now. I like tea. I'm gonna go for a run on the weekend. It just happens. It's this weird thing that when you fix someone's diet, you also inadvertently fix their overall life. It's fantastic.
It is wonderful.
Quite.
Our last one is, I think, my favorite, and which is crazy because it doesn't really relate to me in any way, shape, or form. But So this one's called The Game Changers, and it's the most recent vegan documentary, I think, right? 2018.
Yeah,
And it
of the main ones. Yeah.
follows vegan athletes and centers around athletes and what it's like to be like a vegan bodybuilder per se, where you don't eat meat or dairy to build muscle. And it is freaking amazing. And it's
Yeah.
what I want to show every dude in the gym. Like, I just wish they'd play it on repeat, when I could go to the gym. Because I feel like this is so powerful for, like, workout bros that just like to eat chicken and rice.
Well, that and it breaks it just breaks that stereotype too of like everyone who's like vegan people are all just you either have like
Scrawny.
scrawny and they're weak and like you gotta eat chicken, bro, you gotta eat some steak to get the gains, and it's like not really, because you have like Nehemiah Delgado, who we mentioned before on the show, who is he was vegetarian, but he's been vegan for I think for a while now. I don't know how many years, but a good chunk of his life, and he is just absolutely jacked. We had Patrick Baboumian, who started as a
Yeah.
vegetarian bodybuilder. Well, he was a meat-eater bodybuilder. He's vegetarian, and then he went vegan. He broke world records, like literally world powerlifting strongman records on a plant-based
Right.
diet. And his diet is he's a lot. He did like a day in like a day of eating. I'm like, dude, no, because his whole deal is like, because he's a power lifter, so it's just calories and calories, the most he can get in, and then lift really heavy. So he's just like he literally takes an entire blender, fills it with food, with like bananas and protein powder and creatines, all this stuff, and just blends it and just chugs these like 3 times a day, and has like
Oh my god.
all these, and it's not just protein powders. He has but he like lentils, but he like 4 servings of
lot.
lentils. He eats a lot of food, but he's a big guy, and he lifts a lot of weight. Like he's like the world's strongest man right now. He challenged him to like, okay, because I can't remember the guy's name. Doesn't matter because screw him. He's not vegan. But no, I'm just kidding. But he was like, I don't know who Patrick Baboumian is. Ever heard of him? He's probably just some low level blah blah. Patrick Baboumian's like,
Okay, buddy.
I was the strongest man in Germany like for like 3 years running. Because I haven't competed in certain competitions because that's just not what I compete in. He's like, I'll tell you what, we'll compete in 2 lifts, squat and bench. Your strength is bench, my strength is squat. Let's compete, see who wins, see if what's that. So, and the guy he's never like, accepted the challenge.
Of course not.
Yeah, but he's like, let's do it. He goes, I'll fly to the States when this is over. I'll fly to the States myself and we'll do it. And like nothing. Patrick is a beast, really super nice guy. I met him in person, super nice guy. And
Yeah, I just love
huge.
this movie. I just think it's so powerful to disprove what has been ingrained in athletes for so long, that you have to like protein overload and eat that freaking rice and whatever, like one vegetable maybe if they're lucky. Like, that's so ingrained in them that you have to have meat and dairy to build muscle. And this movie just breaks that. And it's produced by like people you just you just would never expect, like Jackie Chan. Come on.
Yeah.
What? Arnold on there. James Cameron. I don't know who's Novak Djokovic.
I think he was actually I'll look him up. I can't remember now.
I know Lewis Hamilton. Isn't he a runner? Yes.
Yes.
Oh no, he's a race car. Yeah. So they've had like athletes from all kinds of genres, from bodybuilding to,
Novak is a tennis player.
Okay, so tennis, and then Lewis Hamilton does NASCAR, not NASCAR, but like Formula One car racing. So like they have athletes from all kinds of areas, and they prove how they can dominate on a plant-based diet. It's incredible.
Yeah, and it's done by James Cameron, so it's not crappy quality. It's done. It's very great quality.
It's very well done.
And Arnold Schwarzenegger, he's not vegan though. He's vegetarian. He eats eggs every now and then. But other than that, it's like because I think it was Men's Health did like a what's in your fridge with him, and it was all plants and some eggs.
And they were probably like, "What?"
Yeah, because he went
like probably not
what's
expecting that at all.
not at all, and they're like, what? Because yeah, 'cause he went mostly plant based. So and we could talk about what the difference between plant based and vegan is. If you'd like me to do it now, if you want, um,
I
he
mean,
went.
that might be a good episode or like
Yeah,
part of an
like
episode.
terms. What do they mean? Terms. What do they mean?
Terms.
Magnets. How they work. Yeah, but there's a lot of like athletes from runners to Olympic athletes, tennis players, basketball players, bodybuilders, power lifters. And again, the whole point is to say you don't need animal products to be just to be at your peak performance.
Yeah, at the top of your game,
Yeah.
absolutely. And like I I love this movie. Like it is one of my favorites when it comes to something that can like my husband doesn't work out, but if he watched this movie it would make more of a difference than maybe like some of the other ones because he's like he would be like, "Wow, look at those guys. They're huge," you know? And I think that would make a big difference for him. So it's definitely something if you have like a guy in your life or even a girl, but I mean, if you're like a bro guy who loves to go to the gym and eat his chicken, if you show him this movie, it might make a bigger difference than you think it will because it's got people that he probably respects in this, you know?
It's actually funny. I didn't dawn on me to right now. I've had a few people at my gym, which I now have to go super late at night to avoid people. But there have been times at my gym because everyone there, most people, not everyone there, most people who know me know I'm vegan, and I don't even tell them. Like I have a couple of friends who know, and they're like, "He's vegan too, bro." I'm like,
Look at
okay,
his muscles.
yeah, I'm like, so it's why do you tell people, dude? But and then people come up to me, it's like, "Hey, did you see Game Changers?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's cool, right?" Like, yeah, I think I'm gonna go vegetarian. Like, I just, like, no shit, dude. If you have any
Oh, I
questions,
love
let me know.
it.
Happy to help. If you want to go to the next step, also happy to help there. Glad you're making the change.
Mhm.
I would get thrown out of the vegan community because I think that sometimes people need baby steps and work the way somewhere. So
That's why we're called the average vegans.
That's
You
right.
can take your time
It's
as
okay,
long as
man.
you get there in the end and you're making those steps and saving an animal
That's
as
it.
you're going along. I'm cool.
Because I don't care why you don't, and I don't care how long it takes you.
Right.
Just please
Right.
stop.
Yes,
That's
there
it.
you go.
And the animals don't care why you go vegan. The animals
Nope.
You can go vegan because you hate plants so much you want to eat them all. You want to destroy them. Just destroy all the plants. You hate them. So you're going vegan. Eat all the plants. Awesome. The animals don't care why, and I do not care either.
Nope. I agree. So I think that's all that we have, but David does have some books he wants to talk about.
There were a few that I could say I've read, but I don't read books very well. I'm trying. This is my resolution this year is read more books. I'm trying. But there are a few that I have perused or I have that I need to crack open and read more of. One obviously is a China study. I this one and the next one I'm going to speak about. I like them because they are very analytical, very scientific. They break down all their numbers and they basically lay it out to you. It's like, here's the numbers, here's why this works. There's no emotion to it. There's no like save the cows. It's like here's why beef is bad and here's why it causes cancer.
And stats are powerful. I mean, that stuff can make it, make people change their minds.
It's just I look at it's just the facts, ma'am. And that one is was it T. Colin Campbell, which I mentioned already, and where is it? T. Colin Campbell and Thomas Campbell, father son, I believe. Yes. But it's really good. And again, it talks about the China study and it shows how plant-based diets and meat-based diets, omnivore diets, how they affect cancer and heart disease, things like that. The other one. I actually have this one. I've read a good most of it. I get busy with life and don't finish things, like you do. Is How Not to Die by Dr. Michael Greger. I love his stuff. It's a
great title.
How Not to Die. He has a new book called How Not to Diet. It's a cookbook. It's fantastic.
I like that.
Oh, it's fantastic. I need to get it because I just love his stuff. And if you ever get a chance to see him, if you ever Veg Fest, go see him. He has a doctor humor where it's like his voice is kind of partially monotone, and he'll just like say a joke, and you go, "Oh, that was funny!" Like it just because you're listening to him like spew all of this like amazing information and data and numbers and he's very this is how it is. Like, there's no fluff. There's no, this is the facts. This is how they
Right.
are. And he'll sneak in a joke, and you're just kind of like, it's like a delay laugh. And seeing him talk is funny because he knows it's a joke, and he knows how he is, how dry he can be. So he'll say a joke, and he'll just stand there and wait. And I go,
Until it's like, oh,
there it is. Okay,
that's
you
funny,
got it.
that's
All right,
funny,
let's move on.
funny.
But
I like that.
about like a third of his book, of all his books, are just references. He references everything, and his whole thing is go read it. Check my work.
Yeah.
He's a doctor.
exactly.
What he does is study and does studies on these things. Check my work. Here's my references. It's How Not to Die. I absolutely love it. And that's because actually I used he has a site. I can't remember it now. Nutritionfacts.org. That's his site. And basically he has these little videos breaking things down. And my favorite one that I deal with all the time is that I like to tell people all the time is amino acids. I'm gonna give people a little bit of knowledge here. Show what we're talking about here. All right, amino acids, right? So this is why we talk about like plant-based diet versus animal-based diet and how you can build muscle on it, because muscle is built on amino acids. Proteins break down to amino acids. The closest a protein is to your own flesh, your own body, the more you're going to release a growth hormone. Right, so it's not human growth hormone. It's insulin like it's called insulin like growth hormone. ILGH5 or something like that. I think it is. Insulin like growth hormone 5. Yeah, and what that does, it tells your body to replicate, like make new cells, make new cells, make new cells, make new cells. Right, which is a problem because you don't want that, because that's what cancer is. Right, so the amino acids. Building muscle tells your body to release this IGH5, which tells your body to replicate cells in a way that you don't want, and that's why animal products promote testicular cancer, breast cancer, colon cancer, pancreatic cancer. Just it's like, and he has a whole talk about how like 14 of the top like 15 causes of death are all animal eating animals, all of them.
Wow.
The only one that's not is like accident. But Alzheimer's, all the cancers, heart disease, coronary disease, all that stuff. It's all in animals. And so his talks are amazing. His sites are great, but his book, it's again, if you're analytical but you need something that's not as hardcore as the China study, which is very thick and very, very analytical. How Not to Die is great. And again, it's all just the facts. Here's why it's bad. Here's how you avoid having just a really shitty life in your life, right near the end. Because again,
it sounds like that would be great research to have before you like have those conversations with family members and friends about how you've gone vegan. That's a good like research tool right there.
Yeah, and it's not even that long. Actually, I think I have it like right over here. It's not even that long, and because that some people you can say, here, just read this.
Right.
Read this and we'll talk. And if you have someone who in your life who reads, who's somewhat interested, they can knock through that pretty quickly and go, oh, okay. And the other one is other book is Earmuffs for Kids in the Car, is Meat is for Pussies, written by John Joseph. John Joseph is a vocalist. He's a punk and hardcore vocalist. He sings for the Cro-Mags. But he's actually an Iron. He's in his late 50s, I think now. But he's all vegan. He's a Iron Man. So he does. I've seen him live. Just the energy is just live. It's hardcore. So it's like loud hardcore music. It's fun and we jump around. But it's Music for Pussies, and it's really, and he's just the facts, but in like it's almost like in a way that your buddy would talk to you at a bar when you're being stupid.
Okay.
Very much. What the fuck is wrong with you? Are you stupid? Listen, dumbass. It's like very much that. It's very much like telling you why this is stupid and why this is so bad for you, and you're not a quote real man because you eat meat. Real men don't hunt. So, and he has a great, he's in the punk scene. So he has if you go to his Instagram, he is very much a like don't trust the government kind of a thing. Kind of a vibe, and I just like, you're a punk. That's what you do. I'm not, Right. He has some social views. I'm kind of like on, but he's a great advocate for a plant-based diet and how good it is for you, and he's living proof of it.
Oh, that was a great description
Thank you.
and a great name for
You're
a
welcome.
book.
Yes.
I'm kind of in love with that. So we've given you a bunch of movies, documentaries to watch. We've given you some books to read. These are also great to share with people, like we've mentioned. So we would love to hear if there are some that you have watched that we should, or any books that we should read. There's definitely some when I was looking to refresh my memory on these that I'm interested in looking into. So there's always more stuff to watch. So, if you want to tell us about, some great movie, you can contact us on Instagram at The Average Vegans or email us at theaveragevegans@gmail.com. You can find all of our episodes on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Pocket Casts, or anywhere else you get your podcast fix. Make sure to leave us a review, please, please, please. Recommend us to your friends, family, coworkers, anyone who might be trying to go vegan in the new year. Let us know, or let them know about us. Blah blah blah.
Either way.
You whatever. You can find our show notes, links, and all of that, especially to these movies and the books, on theaveragevegans.com. We would love to hear from you. So let us know about your vegan story, what documentaries you recommend, what books you recommend, and if you have any episode suggestions, we would love to hear them. And that is about it this week.
All right. Well, until next time. Bye, guys.
See ya.